Coventry, a city of 3 spires, 100 miles from London, 26 miles from Birmingham. Europe's motor city, the home of Jaguar, Triumph, Massey Ferguson, Elvis, and many more industrial giants. Part of the worldwide entertainment circuit with performances by Lauren Hardy, Cilla Black, Ken Dodd, Cannonball. No artist minded being sent to Coventry, where the hit My Ding-a-Ling by Chuck Berry was recorded in his encore at the Locarno. The Beatles, Cliff Richard, Roy Orbison, Tommy Steele, Oasis, U2, Pink Floyd. All of these artists performed at the city's hotspots, a city with 2 cathedrals and a population from all over the globe. There's something else that Coventry is famous for throughout the world, but which has been whitewashed from the city's cultural history. The UK's first ever 24-hour licensed club, the Eclipse.
I knew Stuart Reid and I knew bloody Brad Edwards, but not like, you know, friends to run away. If he's ever in a place, I'd run off, you know what I mean, because he's a bloody nutter. But Mr. Reid, he was a proper businessman. He was the only businessman out of the whole posse. He looked the part and everything.
I got a phone call. I remember it was every day, Sunday night, and he goes, I've just bought this place in Bingo or Exford. He goes, yeah, I'm going to turn it into a club.
And they gut it out and have it for raves.
Will you be a resident there? He goes, well, yeah, definitely, yeah.
First knowledge of the Eclipse was through friends in my local pub, because they were actually part of the construction of it at the time, and they were telling us about this thing that's opening, and we were like, what are you on about?
I was watching it being built.
I went down there after work every day, religiously. I think I can count on one hand how many times I didn't go. I got to know the builders, plasterers, painters.
He didn't really take it in too much, but he did. He got it all done, and it was a hit.
Not knowing that it was going to be like what it was.
The actual idea of it being the members club and everything, it was just genius. It was like, who would have thought of that? To get round these loopholes and that. Yeah, you've got to take your hat off to them for that.
But you didn't realise they were making history at the time.
They were untouchable, you know, didn't have a drinks licence, members only. I was like, right, let's crack on.
Stuart and Barry were like, they were the owners of the Eclipse. Stuart was kind of, he was the creative one. He was the one who always sort of organised flyers, the pirating of the DJs, mixtapes.
Yeah, I mean, Stuart was like just a normal guy to me, man. If I didn't know Stuart was the owner of that club, I wouldn't have known. Like,
Stuart was the person that started off the tape pack. You know, you went from Stuart singles, then I think Stuart had a double, and then the next one I saw was a 4, and then it went 8. I remember seeing ones with 12 in. I think it just went to a whole tape. You know, the whole night was in there basically.
The people that run the Eclipse just, I think they were like bully boys sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? They weren't nice people. They threatened my brother, and I weren't allowed in there because I stuck up for him. So I weren't allowed to go there, but eventually I got myself in there. I had some good nights in there, but at the start I weren't allowed in there.
They all dealt with me fairly, and we know sometimes I go in the office to get paid, and I'd be in there like 20 minutes, half an hour, just chatting with them. Do you know what I mean? I'd get me money, and then like once every month or so, they'd give me another envelope with my tape money in it. Do you know what I mean? And I was happy with that. I was really happy with it. I know it was probably a fraction of what they were making, but hey, at the time, I was happy with it. You know what I'm saying?
Neville introduced us to them. He was a step ahead in that respect. And he goes, look, I could get you a bit of work up here. What are you saying? I goes, yeah, we'll have some of that. You know what I mean? And basically, he got us directly in with them at the Eclipse, with Stuart and Basil.
Baz was sort of like the money side of it. He would take care of the money, and he would also take care of the security.
To me, he was just a normal guy. You know, he always used to greet me at the door, make sure I was all right, make sure I had a drink, just take me through to the DJ box with some security. So he was always good to me. Other than that, I didn't really have that much communication with Stuart.
And then they had that Snobs Roadshow, put decks in there.
First of all, the Citronic, no one uses them. I said, you're mounting them on bed springs.
And they were all screwed in and everything, you know, like bouncing.
Once they start touching them, the vinyl starts springing off. So he goes, well, that's what I've been told to buy. And I said, look, they're not even direct drive.
I goes, nah, shit. You have to get rid of these. You know what I mean? No respectable DJ is going to play on them.
I said, don't worry, I've got some decks. I said, he goes, can I borrow them? I said, yeah. You can borrow them on the agreement that you put me on DJing. He goes, right, I'll put you on.
It was just raw. It was just, as you see what you get, you just had a little speaker in the corner and a very, very thin amplifier underneath the decks that you just controlled to turn up your monitor. There's nothing flash. The flashiest thing that you had in the Eclipse was just below the turntables. You had the lasers.
It was a ramshackle place. It wasn't posh by any nightclub standard. It was thrown together. The original DJ box was crap.
You know, you're up in the balcony playing, looking down on that dance floor. It was always buzzing. Do you know what I'm saying? No matter what time, it was just buzzing.
It worked, you know, and week in, week out, it slowly got better and better. You know, the equipment got better, the lights got better, the people who came in. We actually always had good people working there.
It's just a crazy thing, the way they took to us, sort of thing. And the MCing, like I said, I'm mad free. I can get away with it.
It was a proper stink hole, but it was good. It added to the atmosphere. There were the walls sweating, dripping with sweat because there was so much heat. You know, generally what people in there. It suited the vibe of the music in the time.
You know, a homemade sound system which was forever breaking down, blowing up. The lighting was the same. You know, everything was done on a shoestring, but no one cared.
I couldn't get enough of going all up north.
The Eclipse, like, that's an amazing club, man. That's an amazing club. It was it had everything.
People are going to be having it proper. Music appreciation of people that are there doing it with you. There's an element of respect, you know what I mean? And that's what was nice about it as well. You got a lot of love.
Yeah, I used to walk about with Mike at Eclipse. I started walking at Shelley's. I've done it all the early days. So when I got to Eclipse now and I started doing that, after about 2 months, I realised that, boy, I think I have to stop coming out here, you know? You get what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of love.
But they're more polite, more caring, nicer. They're not under as much pressure. They're under a lot of pressure, but not as much as the boiling pot like London.
It was good. It's good, and I can see that they related to us, and we definitely related to them because we were giving them some different beats as well. It was honourable, man. Seriously, good, very good club.
A bit like when I saw the Acid House explosion down here, you saw something continuously grow and grow and grow.
I
can remember the first time I went there, you know, and you parked underneath the flyover.
That's where it all used to start before you got in, you know what I mean? Everyone would be taking their stuff in the car park and dancing in the car park.
So many people from all over the country.
There was Scottish coming down, there was Newcastle,
Leeds, London, Bournemouth,
Brighton,
Wales, Scotland, I mean even people from Northern Ireland, even France one night.
Is this going to be here every week? Is this really here?
People were so shocked that there were so many people from all over, you know.
Sometimes, I don't know, 3 cars of us, they just want to go out partying. I need to go to work, but they're all in party mode.
It didn't rely on people just from Coventry, because people travelled from all over the country, you know, to come to this club, and they did week in, week out.
I loved it. It was a breath of fresh air for me up there. I couldn't get enough of it.
It was a mecca. It was just a mecca.
Yeah, the energy was just something else.
My old man, I can remember when I said I'm getting a ticket to go to a club for 15 quid, 20 quid, he couldn't believe it. And then when I told him there was no drinking, when there was no drinking there, no beer in there, it's just, and them times there, £1 for a water was dear. Do you know what I mean? If you told somebody over 28 that he was going out and buying a drink of water for £1, they'd look at you like you were crazy. It's funny now when you think about it.
You used to get the last bus into town, then you'd have to go to a record shop across the road from the Eclipse to buy your tickets.
Seeing a queue that went all the way round under the sports centre.
Underneath the flyover towards the Elephant at the time, it was just hundreds and hundreds of people.
Wow. That was my first experience of the Eclipse. It was just wow. I think that was about 2:30 in the morning for me. And he's like, "You're not going to get in here."
So many people trying to get in, so many people trying to blag their way in.
And you'd be just dying to get through those doors, you know, you'd be saying, hurry up, hurry up.
You'd get your ticket, you'd go queue up, you'd get in the Eclipse, you'd get searched.
Then you go in and you go up some more stairs.
And then we've hit the 2nd floor and I said to my mate, come on, I tell you what, there's more stairs, let's go further up, let's see what this whole place is about.
It was always sticky in there. The heating was always on as well to make you buy more drinks. The stairs were always slippy. You daren't put your hand on the railings because you'd just slip over. It was very grimy.
I'd go upstairs, set the decks up. You know, me and Mick would then start playing.
And the music was just immense. You know, you got a big third and third and third. It got louder and louder and louder.
The bass used to go through you, man, and scare you, you know what I mean? You'd be like, oh, bloody hell.
Lovely, great.
So you've got the stage at the end where your MCs were and they did the PAs. You've got, then the DJ box was above it. It was quite raised up high up and it got the green light of laser magic.
These lasers, never seen lasers before, because all we ever had was MTV and like Top of the Pops.
The DJ's kind of commanded a view from above the crowd, almost like a pulpit, preaching to the converted.
And the place was just rocking, rocking.
The Eclipse and Shelley's, they were like the two, you know, people went up and down the country to different raves, you know, Pandemoniums, Perceptions, you know, the airfields and at Donington Park and stuff. But those two, they were the home of like Midlands raving.
Just to see the whole club just bouncing, and then you'd look around like the balcony, and then you go down the stairs to the middle room and that'd be jumping as well.
For me, it's not about the glitzy side of a club, it's about a space that can be turned into a great energy and a great vibe. You know, I thought the Eclipse, the one thing that used to do me in there was the heat. It was ridiculously hot in there, but again, the vibe, you know, and you're talking 3 floors of madness.
You'd be waiting all week to go and have this sort of alternate reality for the whole weekend. and come together with a whole load of souls to just be free, experiment, dance, just be yourself.
I'd do like 3 or 4 gigs in a night, so you know I'd always end up there, and no matter what time I could always fit in the Eclipse. Do you know what I'm saying? Always. So it was just perfect. Do you know what I mean? Go there and it was just like buzzing, even if I got there at 7 o'clock in the morning.
It was a weird one where you'd start dancing and you'd find yourself like working your way towards the back of the room, so then you'd have to like stop, meander through the crowd again to like halfway through, start dancing again, and you'd have to keep doing it. For some strange reason, you just ended up going backwards.
Just to be in that DJ box, actually playing them records for them crowds was, you know, just unforgettable memories, really.
You couldn't help being, you know, caught up in the moment. You know, just watching people's faces and seeing their reaction. Very early sort of time in the Eclipse, that was pretty much it. It was the same format, you know, cold cock, Sasha, a mix of break beats, jungle, and then Sasha would come on and play the coolest house music, coolest northern music, Italian house.
See, I'm a collective music person. I'm just a person that's just into hard music. I'm into music, full stop. So people like Sasha need to be heard. If you don't have people like Sasha playing light, then how are you not going to know what's hard?
I like the happy house, Italian house, the piano, you know, the lighter stuff, the stuff that makes you just want to put your hands up in the air and just like feel like you love everybody.
I thought the envelope was always getting pushed back then, and it was great that you had someone like Sasha, who was very piano house orientated. I would play a lot of B-sides where maybe people weren't looking. Back them days, you could have an EP that had 8 tracks on it. I could be playing track 8 that might have been a bonus set of beats. I loved it, and I loved the way it was progressing.
It didn't really sort of start changing until the club became more and more popular, and then it started having outside promoters coming in, and then they in turn brought their own PA systems. They brought their own PAs.
People like Energy or Sunrise or guys from Leicester called Head that would come in.
Druids in the middle of the Eclipse on the Solstice event. I mean, like you think now, how would that work? But it worked.
Every week was just pretty special.
Once we got onto the stage, it was just absolutely electric. I mean, like we used to have come on and you'd see every single person's hands in the air.
Seeing how passionate everybody was about it.
No, the place would be rocking at 11 o'clock, and you'd set everybody up for the rest of the night then.
An amazing atmosphere.
The dance floor would literally be bouncing, and it's like concrete.
Coventry was known as the main place for ravers to come to. You had Amnesia House, then you had the Eclipse.
I felt like I'd moved into a different realm of the rave scene. It's like we grew with it, and we're going to be professional.
The Fierce Ruling Diva were an act from Amsterdam.
We were doing the Warp Network tour, and we played at the Eclipse as an XS21.
And one of the agents that used to regularly call the Eclipse had flown them over. So I've got the Fierce Rolling Diva over. Would you be interested?
Then Infiltrate started to break through and be a bit of a tune at clubs.
Oh, they're great. They're great, Stu. Get them. They're really, really good. Right, okay, we'll have them.
We hadn't done any alternate PAs at all, and we were asked, will you do an alternate PA at the Eclipse?
I'd always thought, by their music, they were from New York. No, they were from like the sort of sex trade in Amsterdam.
I thought people are going to think it's a bit of a con if they've seen us 1 month, 2 X stands, 2 guys, keyboards, the whole thing, and then all of a sudden we're there, look exactly the same. Wait a minute, didn't I see them the other month?
They were actually a gay cabaret act.
If we covered ourselves up, you know, some kind of suit, so that we didn't look the same, people didn't know who it was, people would think we were a different group.
And they came with a suitcase of props, and when I say props, dildos, strap-ons, gags, stuff I'd never seen before.
My brother was in the RAF at the time, so I said to him, have you got any, you know, like overalls or whatever? He said, I've got 2 of these NBC suits. They're like vacuum packed, made in like 1983. You can have those.
And I looked at Mick and I said, they're gonna get absolutely destroyed in here. Because they pull that stuff out, they're gonna cause a riot.
So I thought we need to cover up the rest of your face. And because of like the whole acid house thing and the UV day glow thing, get some masks, spray them fluorescent yellow so they glow, put an A on for alternate Bosch, that'll do. And it was supposed to be 1 gig, that's what we'd wear, and that'd be it.
But I did say to Stuart, you know, you might have to have a word with them to tame it down a bit.
We did infiltrate a couple of tunes off the first EP, and for some strange reason, but when people were like dancing in the crowd, you'd point at them, you know, just like, oh yeah, you, blah, blah. And people think, oh, they mean that I want to come up on stage.
All the ravers that were at the front of the stage sort of cushioned it a little bit, so they were really into it. And because the music that they were performing was very sort of high tempo, energetic.
Like loads of people just started coming up onto the stage and dancing away, so we had like about 10, 15 people on the stage by the end of the PA. But it proper went off.
One of the tracks, particularly Believe, was like a big tune in the Eclipse. We just went over a storm.
Dance music, that's what we were there for. All of us were there for the same reason. Whether it be light, hard, in between, whatever, it was just there for music. And, you know, probably drugs played a big part in that, because obviously the drugs must have been better back then than they are now, but it must have played a big part in it. But yeah, I mean, it was great. It was the best times.
Obviously, drugs played a massive part in it.
If you know people want to do drugs or get absolutely wasted, that's up to them.
Me, I mean, I remember my first dove in the Eclipse, and when it kicked in, I was in the main dance area.
But it didn't matter where you're from, you know, everyone would chat to you, walk past, you wanted some of this drink, can I have some of your water, blah, blah, blah.
And I was just going round to everybody saying, I love you, I love you. I don't know you, but I really love you.
I knew people that, you know, had competitions with each other, you know, to see who could get the most wasted.
And one thing that always reminds me of the Eclipse is Vicks.
What's that smell? Oh, that's marijuana. Never smelt it before.
Which you smell it and it was god-awful smell.
There was a geezer dancing like about 2 rows in front of us with a big suede jacket with 8s on it, and he was absolutely soaked. And I thought it was his sweaty suede jacket, but it was, I said, well, what was that smell? He's poppers.
For me, looking at people, they were proper raving and...
You know, luminous outfit and big bobble hats.
Looking down on the crowd and just looking and thinking, wow, look at that sea of people down there.
Obviously everyone was off their nuts.
That's all right, it's bad. I was off it, you know what I mean? I hasn't got their
Most
body.
people would be standing at the counter just struggling trying to see the change in their hands. And
you'd see them and you'd think, oh God, you know, you kind of like try and pull them to the side and say, I think you've had enough now.
It scared me sometimes.
So half the time I'd have to lean over and just say, look, it's £2 or it's £3 and take the money out their hand for them.
Be like, well, so-and-so's had 4Es and 5 wraps of whiz, so I'm going to have to get another one now because I've got to keep up with him.
And the states of some people.
Just be holding their hands, and there was this you know, connection with people.
You'd make like lifelong mates.
It was just part of the club, it's just how it was there.
It was an experience and an education.
The club wouldn't have been the same had that club opened its doors and sold alcohol, or not sold alcohol, sold pop, but there'd been no drugs in there at all. You wouldn't have had the same experience. The club wouldn't have had the same experience. It wouldn't have been projected to the heights it was at the time.
I'm going to be honest with you, know. It's the first time I'm hearing this. Is it? Is it? The first time I never hear Eclipse you couldn't get drinks.
Looking back on them days there, it was crazy because they created a whole industry and they set a model that was copied
We had the
worldwide.
best club in the whole country at the time.
To the sound system, to the production.
You used to stay there till 8 o'clock every Friday and Saturday.
The Eclipse was a place that everyone wanted to go.
Maybe you thought you were missing something.
To the people being friendly to make sure everybody's okay.
You thought, well, I've got to wait for my money anyway. Because I think you used to do it on purpose.
Because we had it on our doorstep. I don't think we realised how good it was.
You'd be there till 8 o'clock, like, come down, like, oh, so, give me 50 quid.
Moving it forward, it was never ever about, oh yeah, we'll just stick to that because we know that works.
You had people like Joey Beltram there.
I went there loads of times to see like Jerry Beltram when he played.
Laurent Garnier.
And I said to Stuart, if you get Frank the Wolf here, that'd be amazing. I wrote a letter to him and he responded, you know, 2 weeks later, I'd love to come to Coventry. And he absolutely rocked it. Once again, it was about bringing in new people, like mix it up in a bit, rather than just keeping it to the same old, same old.
In fact, if you missed a week, if for some reason you didn't go, you know, you'd be kind of sat there and, you know, you wouldn't be able to sleep because you'd be thinking, oh, I should be there, I'm really missing out on something here.
because it was a very experimental place. We could go there and play tunes.
The lineups at the time where you'd have me, Mick and Mick, Sasha, Pixie, and so you'd have that northern atmosphere, sort of, so to speak, in there. You know, everyone would come down, they come from all corners of the country, but you know, Preston, Manchester and all that, and that's what they were up for, that hands in the air, uplifting stuff.
Some people were playing techno, some people were playing sort of lighter sort of house, some people were playing more breakbeat stuff, some people would be playing more sort of classic warehouse stuff. So as things evolved in the influence of sort of Belgium, the techno was coming out of Belgium, and the DJs themselves, there was a divide in music.
There was no boundaries to it.
One minute you'd have someone playing breakbeat, then you'd have someone playing techno.
There was no rules in this time.
It was the rave scene breaking up and branching out into all different genres of music.
In Coventry, we were ruled by the London crew, really.
These different artists were brought into Coventry. You know, again, you had Groove Rider.
But I remember they always treated me differently.
Dirty stabs and sounds.
Okay, not even in London I was getting that sort of treatment. I didn't, but I never knew why. Do you understand what I'm saying? I thought, oh, I'm only playing music. But now I think about it 30 years later, it's because of the style of music I was playing.
Tougher and tougher, and it was getting sort of less melodic, and it got faster.
The music scene changed, genres started to come into it. Whereas before it was just house music, dance music, simple as that.
And we knew that, like, deeper north, that Shelley's was still doing its thing that time, and that was like that's where people wanted to go and put their hands in the air. But if you wanted to go to the Eclipse or whatever, if you're going to go there, you're going to get some grimy beats in your head. Well, from me, where anyway, I don't know what anybody else was doing, but that's what I was about.
House was portrayed as the gays. That should just explain. Got nothing against gays, got nothing against anything, but that's how it was then.
We'd go there and test out our tunes.
We cottoned onto it. Jason, the selector, and Mikey cottoned onto it. You get what I'm saying? So we started kind of stretching it a bit to our kind of beat.
You could play tunes that you couldn't necessarily play elsewhere.
A lot of the people, like I said, we're coming from dancing most of our lives.
House music's for pussies, you know what I mean? We like the hardcore, we like the... Well, not hardcore, Coventry wasn't hardcore, but we used to call it hardcore, right? It was house with all the hoovers and chainsaws and all that lot going on, right, yeah? You know, that's what we called hardcore.
Some places people be like, oh, I don't know, but when you go there, you can really lay it down.
I would slip out to Belgium. I had a couple of little shops out there because for me, that sound that they were coming out with, they was ruling it for me. And I got heavily into that kind of, not your full-on techno, but there was something about it that gripped me, obviously.
But everybody was, you know, very kind of like Sasha. They were all for Sasha. But don't get me wrong, you know, I could appreciate Sasha's sound to a certain degree, but it wasn't the sound I wanted to hear when I was out.
You know, everyone's like on this hardcore tip, the speakers are howling, it's all dark and everything, and he'd come in with a Whitney Houston kind of thing going on.
I always found it a bit too singy and a bit too la la. You know, I did prefer it more banging. You know, I liked my kind of more grungy Hoover noises and, you know, acid bass lines.
You know what the Coventry crowd are like, mate? Not all of them, but you know, Yeah, they used to spit on him and stuff like that, and off the balcony. And
You ain't playing in there, you play, and then they'd be like that. When he was playing, you play any of that faggot shit, you're going to get your throat cut.
I weren't happy with that at all, you know. But like I said, he had the most stick out of all the DJs. You know what I mean? And he still did his thing.
Stupid things like Sasha getting threatened in the car park, having his records thrown across Pool Meadow car park.
I didn't know you got so much abuse. That's disgusting behaviour. And I'd never endorse something like that. It's disgusting. He's just a guy playing music, trying to entertain the crowd. He shouldn't be told that. He's got his right to do. And people love Sasha, and they loved him then as well. So I don't get that mentality. It's only music.
Well, you know, but he stuck it out. You know, you ain't no fanny, but that's it then. You know, you need little experiences like that, and that's what happens. Him gone. No, I ain't coming back there. Don't need it. And he didn't. Why would he?
And here comes your last one. DJ Sasha, touch it down. Yes, indeed. Are you? Energy. Energy. Respect and thanks goes out to DJ Sasha. Holding it down for the Energy crew. Perhaps to be the last one. Don't forget tomorrow night, in all the way through right here. Same place, same venue, same time. Are you? Oh yeah. Sounds of Energy on a Sunday morning. Right here in Coventry.